What? Give me your best guess.
Jutuan.
Jutan.
Jutan.
Hutaun.
Jutun.
Jutuan.
Jetawan.
Jutan.
Hutaun.
It's got the soft J.
Jutan.
Juatun.
Wonton. Whoa. That's pretty good.
Jutuan.
Jutuan.
In Austin, Juhata. In fucking Boston, Jutuan.
It's different in different states.
Juton.
I'm gonna say Huton.
Hutan?
Huton.
Jatuan.
Jutuan.
Watuan.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with which one?
Watuan? So it's a W. Watuan.
Jutan.
Jutan.
Wonton.
Wonton. Okay, there's a W. You see the W.
Jutan.
It's actually really close.
I know. Huan.
Huan?
Juan? Shit.
Jatan.
Yo, that was perfect.
Johnson? I don't know.
It's pretty close. It's pronounced Jatan.
I think I pronounced it cooler.
So, what do you think it means?
Close cousin of the crouton.
I have no idea.
It's like live or like like be alive or something.
Hell, I don't know. Space. I mean, not space. Fun, excitement, energy.
No, you're right.
Something, Austin, something.
Something about like being equal. I don't know why.
It sounds Spanish. Maybe a Spanish clothing line.
It's like town, like tuna, and Jupiter. So like.
Are you drunk?
Form of banana.
Gooch or like crusty butt. I don't fucking know.
So it's Jatan. What language do you think that is? What language would you say that probably is?
Indonesian.
Indonesian.
Either French or Portuguese.
Probably Irish since it's ours.
Irish. Canada.
Asian.
The Asian language.
South America? No. South America? South Africa. South America? Yes. South Africa.
Okay.
Japanese.
Japanese. How come?
Because it starts with a J.
I'm gonna say South America.
South American? Language of South American. Okay.
Arabic, Farsi, Hebrew.
That's the first time we heard that. But you kind of like combined three totally separate languages: Arabic, Farsi, and Hebrew.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with her. She's like, I don't know.
She's super smart, so.
She's from Panama, so I feel like she's.
Oh, okay. Because people from Panama. Okay,
Like, she knows all the ethnicities.
got it.
Indian.
Indian,
Brazilian.
Brazilian. But even though Indian, isn't there a bunch of different languages that they speak? Like,
Jutan. Maybe like French or something.
French.
French, definitely, right?
Jatan. I'm gonna go with French.
go with French. Okay, cool.
Korean.
I mean, it would seem like it would be like Thai or something. Maybe some type of Thai, or maybe.
I think you're just saying that because you see an Asian guy right here.
I mean, but Thai? Asian people usually think Chinese or something like that.
I'm a Christian guy. I did not see the Korean guy after the time.
He's actually Cambodian, but it's all good. He said same thing.
I promise you, they both make shrimp fried rice.
What's actually a made-up word? It's the name of our band. Okay. All right.
I don't know. What is it?
It's actually the name of our band.
Cool. I can dig it. I like it.
So what if I told you that is actually a band that's playing out here at South by? You like that?
So now that you know that, what kind of music do you think we would make?
I want to say electronic with a little bit of rap.
Like alternative.
Shoegaze.
Shoegaze.
That is.
Maybe some world music mixed with rock.
Rock metal.
Indie. Isn't indie like a thing? Like rock or indie?
I'm like, oh, I'm so sad, and I'm looking at my shoes, and there's all this noise. Yeah.
Something in Spanish. Are you guys a Spanish band?
Southern poppy punk rock type thing.
Because of him, punk rock.
Wait a minute. This guy got all the racist comments.
Oh, it's kind of hard to, but by looking at y'all, kind of like some pretty boy music. But I mean, I could be wrong. So
Looking at you, you're both very white. No, now I'm saying things I don't want to say. No.
I don't know, like reggae rock.
Sounds like a funk band. I hope it's a funk band. I don't know. I like that heavy bass.
House.
Are you
House
saying
music.
white people do a specific kind of music?
No, don't.
3, 2,
House music.
1.
House music.
And we're live. What is up, everybody? We're here. It's Tuesday night. We're going to have some conversation. We got a special guest in the building. Let's get right into it. You're watching Young Lion TV. Let's go.
Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, won't you get up and start fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding.
Yeah, it's Tuesday night, and we are here in Camden, New Jersey, as we always do at True Sound Studios, a.k.a. our office. And I want to give some shout-outs to the people that are already watching. What's up, Juanita, John? We got Stiz. We got Mr. Fox watching. Kimberly Pollock, Shirley watching. Kathleen is watching. Everybody, we appreciate you. You got anybody in the other room?
You said Shirley already. Shirley Cosme?
Yeah, she's in this one.
I see.
Okay,
her name.
cool. So we appreciate y'all. We want to make sure everybody knows to what's up, Orlando? Orlando just checked in. Everybody watching, please just share the video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you're on YouTube right now watching live, you can subscribe to the channel or you can like it, share it, all that good stuff so people continue to learn about what we're doing. Just trying to have positive conversation and keep this thing going as much as we can. Also, don't forget to go to the Patreon, patreon.com/youngliontv, and you can become a member there. You can also get merch at our website, which is jatan.com, and we got some new merch coming. I've been working on the merch store for Young Lion TV too, so I'm gonna have a whole bunch of stuff ready to go. But yeah, without further ado, I got Jake with me, I got Moon with me, and of course we got Rachel on the ones and twos. But we got a special guest this evening. We finally have a female at the table again, which is a rare occurrence. It's usually just a room full of testosterone and Rachel trying to fend for herself. But we have a special guest who is actually a local artist from Camden, New Jersey, born and raised, right?
Yes.
We have the lovely Art by Sir.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, she's in the building, and we're gonna be talking about what you got going on and what it's like to be an artist. Because every time we talk to artists or talk to people that call themselves artists, it's usually in the music field. You know what I mean? So someone who's actually like the term artist that you don't think of anymore, someone who actually like draws and paints and does art. So that's going to be interesting. Orlando said, "Where's Steve?" Steve is at home with his wife and his babies. Steve was here last night. But yeah, so let's get into it. Give everybody a brief description of like what you got going on and like what everything about you.
So my name is Art by Sir. Art by Sir stands for Shaunique Ezel Rodriguez. So I just shortened it up because I thought it was just unique and different because you don't really see women refer to themselves as Sir. So I thought it was different. A really, really good name, and it's a really good name when it comes to the art world because when you're selling art and if you're a woman who has a male name, you're more likely to sell more for whatever reason because they're just very intrigued to see who is that person. I was born and raised here in Camden, New Jersey. I actually studied visual arts at Creative Arts High School.
Nice. Tell everybody what part of Camden, just for all our Camden people.
I'm from Pollock.
Yeah, Pollock.
And a lot of people don't even know that. A lot of people think I'm like from downtown or Kramer Hill. Like, no, I am a Pollock chick all day.
Wow, that's what's up.
So up and down Monty from Avenue.
So when we told you where the podcast was, you were like, "Oh, I ain't got to go far."
Yeah, once you said Benson, I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, that's where my dad's from. Born and raised.
That's what's up. Yeah. All right, so continue.
So I studied visual arts in high school. I didn't really pursue it because in high school we were taught, unfortunately, we were going to be starving artists. So it was just like, why am I going to do this? So I really didn't pursue art at all. Like, I did it for fun. And then after, like, high school, I went to college. I could have pursued it. I had a full scholarship, didn't even take it.
Wow.
I went to school for psychology, and sociology was the complete opposite.
Right here at
art.
Rutgers, right?
Yep, Rutgers Camden.
Now, what made you want to choose that field to study? Because I was reading that in your bio that you took a complete left and went the psychology route. Like, what?
So, Moon, could you bring her mic just a little bit closer to her? Like, just slide it a little bit closer to her. That's perfect. Thank you.
She can do it herself, Rachel.
So I actually went to school for not even psychology and sociology. I went to school to be a science major because I wanted to be an orthodontist.
Wow.
But when I got into the field, I was like, this is too hard. Like, I wasn't doing really well at all because you're like learning biochem 1 and 2. You're learning biology 1 and 2, chem 1 and 2, all different kind of maths. And I was like, this is too much. Like, you can't work full time and do that full time at all. Right. So I was like, what's the easy major? And at the time, I was kind of like lost. And I wanted to know more about myself and my behavior. So I was like, let me give psychology a try.
Now,
so that's how I got into it.
When you started going for what is your major when you were trying to be an orthodontist? What is that major?
I majored in science.
Oh, a science major. Okay, so when you say you had a full scholarship, was that only in the art field?
Yes.
Okay, so you totally forewent that and was like, I'm gonna go into science. So now you had to pay for that yourself, and with student loans and stuff.
Yeah, with student loans
and grants or whatever you could get from the government, right? So that's a totally different mindset now. So like you said, you had to have a full-time job and try to work your way through school too. Yeah. So then that put an extra strain on you trying to study and then work at the same time. Okay, that's just interesting.
I was very young and dumb at the time.
Well, we all are.
I didn't see it at the time, but I've just made the wrong choices instead of making the right ones. I mean, if I could go back, would I change it? Absolutely not.
Do you think that school doesn't do a good enough job, like especially high school doesn't do a good enough job in like pushing you into your passion and like finding a path for you in that way? Because we've talked about that on the podcast before.
You know what? My high school actually did.
Wow.
They geared us to do what we love to do. So in order to get in creative arts high school, we had to do we had to fill out an application, write a letter. We had to get letters of recommendation, and we had to what is it called? Well, basically, we had to go to an interview process. And like for me, since I did visual art, I had to present to 3 artists, teachers, like art teachers, 10 pieces of artwork. And we had to sit there and do draw still life. Like that was the whole process to get in. Like it wasn't like anybody could sign up. So it was an
audition, basically.
Yeah, it was a whole audition process. For the most part, we had our basic studies, but in the afternoon, it was your passion, your major, whatever you went for, and mine was visual arts. And then we ended up having the privilege to have minors, and I ended up getting into instrumental, and I learned how to play the violin at the time, which was completely different.
Wow. Do you still ever play?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Wow. So your school pushes you in the direction of your passion, which is a good thing, but it's centered around the arts.
Where is that school, by the way?
It used to be on Carmiller and Fillmore Street.
Right.
It was like this. It used to be a school, and then they knocked down a portion of it, and then it was an annex. So my school, when I first started, we were the first graduated class. So there was no class above us at all. Like we were just moving up.
Wow.
And it was only 53 of us in the school. So we were spoiled.
Right.
Every week we had a trip somewhere. And even a trip to Cooper River Park just to draw. That was considered a trip. We were just so spoiled rotten because they didn't really know what to do with us because we were like the guinea pigs. They was trying to figure out, you know, we want to give these urban kids, you know, something different. So what can we do with them? So we learned a whole lot. Like I learned from one of my art teachers, because I had two of them. I learned like how to enjoy classical music while I was like painting and drawing. So we were so privileged to learn different things that we really don't in this type of environment.
So I'm just curious, like when did it get to the point where you were like, okay, it doesn't make sense for me to keep pursuing this because there's no real work, like there's no work, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so I had two teachers. So I had a male teacher that I fought with all the time, but I absolutely adore and love now that I'm older. And then my female teacher, she was an artist as well, but she always complained that she was a starving artist, that she was struggling. So she would always project that on us. So some of us would look at each other and say to ourselves, like, who wants to, you know, do this and be starving? Like, I'm trying to get out of school and make money.
Right.
Like, especially from where we come from, we trying to get out of it. So we would look at her and her lifestyle and what she had going on behind the scenes, and we were just like, no, like, I don't want to be like that. Like, I don't want to starve.
So her being the example of someone who took that path was then projecting that onto y'all, like, this could be us, you know what I mean? Wow, that's
so
crazy.
It was her attitude.
Yeah, and her attitude was a little, like, funky.
Yeah. She probably didn't even know that she was scaring you guys.
Yeah, she did, because we were very, like, for us, we voiced our opinion and how we felt about things all the time. And I know I did in high school. I got in trouble a lot because of it, because I would tell exactly how I felt. And I didn't want to do it at one point. Like, it was fun. I enjoyed doing it, but to pursue it, I was like, no, I'm good.
Right. So you just got to the point where you were like, I don't even have passion in this anymore. It just seems like it's a dead end.
Yeah.
Right. And then so you went the route of like, all right, I'm going to get a regular job. I'm going to try to figure out what that is. Tried science major. That didn't work out. And then you went into psychology. Okay. What made you pick that?
Psychology, because I thought it was an easy major. And I'm just being transparent.
No, this is what we love.
I thought it was an easy major. I was just like, I need something easy to just get me through.
Right.
But as I was studying for psychology, I noticed I started taking a lot of sociology courses too. So I double major while I was in college, not knowing until like my senior year, that's when psychology gets real hard, because you have to take like methods and theory, so that deals with like statistics and all that stuff. And I was like, wait, I didn't sign up for this at all.
Statistics.
Yeah.
I hated so much, and especially when we had to partner up and do it with like a group. I was like, yo, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, that was like one of the worst classes.
Yeah.
For me, those type of classes are just like, I just see pattern recognition so much that like it's easy for me.
Yeah.
Those type of classes.
Well, that's like a lot of definitions. Like.
Yeah. But it's not that hard.
I hated it.
My favorite subject in school was gym. I hated it all.
Gym and lunch.
Gym and lunch.
That's funny. I want to give a shout out to Tisha Blue watching right now. She said hi to everybody. She said, what are you guys talking about? If you just stick around and listen for a little bit, you will see what we're talking about.
I got a few people in here too.
Okay.
Simone Golden, Junior.
Simone.
Oh, Junior.
What's up, Junior?
Jeanette.
That's our boy. He actually was a psychology major, and he just got his doctorate. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wayne Bum,
man.
FDI, Evangelista Batista.
Oh, hey, boo.
Oh, you know her? Okay.
She said, blessings, Jake and guys. Hey, beautiful. She's awesome artist, but a great person, too.
Thank you.
That's why she's on the Young Lion podcast.
And Jeanette said she's all that.
We only have good people on here.
Thank you.
But see, your story is important because what we're trying to do is we're trying to give, like, this insight to younger people that see this, and like they can learn from the stuff that we had to go through, you know, and the decisions that we were making. Because even like our boy Junior, like he did a lot of schooling trying to figure out what he wanted to do. You know, I remember he was going to Drexel for engineering, and then he went to Rutgers for like business, and he was going to New Brunswick, and then he ended up settling on psychology, and spent, you know. But it's different when you don't know. Like, it's hard when you don't have that clear direction coming out of high school. Like, high school doesn't prepare us in that way. You know what I mean?
doesn't. No.
It just kind of like says college is the only direction is go to college, and then everything else will just fall in line. You know, and that's not necessarily how it works. And I think we should do a better job of, especially in schools, like having these programs. Guidance counselors should be like really finding, because I know for me, like I knew I wanted to do music from an early age, and even when I expressed that to the guidance counselor, it was kind of like, yeah, but you know, I don't know if that's really, and it's like, I think a lot of times they're not knowledgeable of all, because even me, I was looking into doing audio engineering or like something like that, not necessarily like I want to do music so I could be a star. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm passionate about music and I want to just work in that field in some way, you know, and I don't think a lot of times they have the knowledge to even know what are those jobs. You know what I mean? What is okay, let's figure it out. What can you do in music that you're interested in that's a job? You know what I mean? That's not just like a pipe dream. You know, and it's the same thing in art. Like you know, Stephanie's been working, she's a great drawer. Remember my dad's ex-girlfriend? And she's been working for years just like doing drawings for companies and logos and stuff like that. Like, and there's jobs there for, you know, if you're an artist and you're passionate about art, you know. So I think that, you know, the not having that mindset from the teachers and the faculty to say like, all right, you know, you're losing your passion. What is it? What is causing that? You know what I mean? Is it that you feel like it's a dead end? You feel like you're not going to be able to find work? You know, where can we put you that would make more sense, you know? And instead you had to go through this whole path, and now now explain how like you got back into doing art again.
So 2016 was when I got saved. I didn't do art at all when I was living in Florida. I was living in Florida for like 2 years. I didn't touch a paintbrush, nothing at all. But the moment I got saved and I came back out here, I remember I didn't have any money or nothing. Moved back with my parents, and I just asked my mom for a couple of dollars. Went to AC Moore, and I was just like, let me see what I could get out of here. And the first thing I bought was like these pieces of wood, and something just told me just make earrings. And I was like, why would I make earrings? Like, but okay, I'm gonna give it a try. So Art by Sir started at first with earrings. I would make earrings all the time, and then my ex-boyfriend from years ago, we were still good friends, and he was just like, Neek, you know, it'll be really dope if you could paint a picture. And I'm like, well, what kind of picture do you want me to paint? He wanted me to paint his second son ultrasound. And I was like, oh man, like I really don't want to. Like, this is kind of like hard for me, because that painting was hard for me to paint, because it was just a lot of emotions involved with that. And I was like, but I haven't picked up a paintbrush a paintbrush with a canvas in so long. So let me give it a try and see where it goes. So I was just like, well, if you pay me, I'll do it, because right now I'm hungry and I need a couple of dollars. So, all right, I'll do it. So he was like, all right, I'll pay you. And I was like, you sure you pay for my supplies, my paintbrush, the canvas, and extra money? And he was like, yeah, I got you. And then from there, that's when it started.
And so then you started to take on that entrepreneurial spirit and like, oh, I can make money doing this. Yeah, okay, that's dope.
So let's go back to Florida. Because what happened in Florida? What made you go down to Florida, and then what?
So I moved to, I always wanted to move to Florida since I was a little girl. Since I went to Disney with my parents. Like, that was like a dream of mine. Love, love, love Florida. And then I went to Florida that year for my birthday. But I was going through like relationship issues at the time, and I really wanted to get out of my narcissistic, abusive relationship. And I had lost my job at the time, and I was just like, I told my mom, I was like, I really need to get out this situation. So if you could hook me up with a plane ticket to Florida, like, I'm out. And
What
she
part of
was-
Florida did you go to?
I moved to some people call it Kissimmee, some people call it Kissimmee.
Okay.
So that's where I moved. I moved with my uncle and my aunt there at first. So that's what made me move. So the minute I did, I didn't even tell my ex, well, my boyfriend at the time, I didn't even tell him. I just left. He called me like the next day, like, hey, what's up? I'm like, oh, I moved to Florida.
Wow.
hmm
So you just escaped.
Yeah, I was like, I'm out.
And then what was it like? What was life like in Florida for you just starting over? Like,
It was it's so different from out here. At first, it was so hard to adjust because I didn't have a car. I only had 2 maletas with me of clothes, so I didn't even have everything. I just took what I could with me, and I was like, I'm gonna be okay with this. So my lifestyle over there completely changed because the way my uncle was is completely different from how I was raised with my mom and my dad. So when I was living there, like I didn't have cable TV, so I didn't watch TV. I didn't know anybody really out there, especially around the neighborhood. So like, and then I wasn't working. So I had to learn like this really slow pace of lifestyle. And then everything is so far from each other. So like even if I wanted some ice cream, I would have to at least walk a half an hour away. So, and I would, because I was just like the ice cream place that is in Kissimmee is owned by people from New Jersey too. So I would just walk there like, you know what, let me go get my ice cream and come back because I don't have nothing else to do.
So you like ice cream?
No, not really, but
he likes ice cream.
I like ice cream.
Jake loves ice cream.
I do, but it was just a simple fact knowing that was a piece of home.
Okay.
So that's why I would walk, and I would walk with my aunt. So my mom, well, I call her like my mom. My second mom to me, which is my aunt, I would walk with her sometimes because she walks twice a day, in the morning and afternoon. So I would do stuff like that. I would journal. So my lifestyle was completely different because, sorry.
You're all right. You're all right.
I talk a lot with my
Yeah,
hands.
it's cool.
It was just different from what it's out here.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to adjust like fast to the point it was just like, it was kind of painful because it was just like, this is really slow and I don't really know anyone out here, so I don't really know what to do. So thank God, like a girl that I grew up with, she lived in Orlando, so she would pick me up, but she lived like 40 minutes away from me. But she would pick me up and we would go out and stuff like that.
That's cool. So do you think living out there, was there any benefit like that you found from like getting away and seeing a different way of life though?
Oh, it humbled me in so many ways because over here it's so different. Like we have access to everything. Everything is just like right at your fingertips. Where over there, nothing is at your fingertips. Like just to get to a mall, depending on where you live, is like without traffic is a half an hour. With traffic, 45 minutes, 50 minutes. It's just, and there you need transportation. Like you need a car. Here you don't. So it was just really, really humbling. And I didn't know anyone at the time like that.
Slowed you down.
It did. It did for a little bit until I got a car. Then things changed.
It's funny because you're saying out here, but really, it's just this area.
Yeah.
Like if you go to like Williamstown,
Yeah,
like
where I live,
he lives.
there's nothing
Yeah.
out there.
Everything you're
Farms.
describing is his life.
Yeah.
I remember
But I
because
do.
we moved to Williamstown when we were 16. When I was 16, you were 17, and I remember our family from Camden would come and visit us and be like, "Man, how do y'all live here? It's so slow. There's nothing out here, you know." But I liked it. To me, I'd rather be in that type of environment than the city life. Like when I go to New York, I just be like, I could never live here.
well, that's a whole nother.
That's a
That's
whole
a
nother
different
level.
animal.
Like I can't even do it.
Philly traffic bad too though.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it
is.
does.
It
I
is.
work in Philly and I can't stand it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were in Florida, and then you said you got saved.
You got saved in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
Talk about that
Yeah,
a little bit.
So I was living in Kissimmee for a while. I couldn't get a job at all because they would say that I was overqualified because they didn't want to pay me. They don't want to pay you the pay rate that you get paid out here. So I was just like, you know what, I can't do this. Like, I'm not going to do all this work for a little bit of pay. So I ended up working at a watch store. at the Orlando Premier Outlets for the same amount that I was going to get paid doing social services out there. So I was like, I could do this. So I did that for a while, but then my hours, they kept on cutting my hours. So I was like, I can't do this. So one of my cousins lived in Tampa. She was like, I'm about to move to another location. If you want, you could roommate with me if you could find a job out here. So I was like, all right, cool. And at the time, the guy I was dating, he lived in Tampa, but he worked in Kissimmee. So I was kind of like going over there to chase him, to be honest with you. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, this is like 2-for-1 kind of deal. So I'll do it. So I ended up getting like a really, really good job in Tampa working for Hillsborough County. So I was doing case management out there. And I did that for 3 months. But in Tampa, I started meeting people. I started getting into stuff, especially with him. So the more I hung out with him, we kind of enabled each other. I started drinking a whole lot. I was really, really into drinking, like excessive, especially because the lifestyle in Florida, it feels like you're on vacation. So a lot of people, that's what they do. You can find alcohol wherever you want to go. I found myself at times going to like the gas station and getting a can of beer, and that's what I was having for my lunch. Like, and I would chill in my car, have that, and then go back into work like nothing happened, because that's what the lifestyle is. And then I would get out of work and I would meet him, or I would meet other people, and then we would drink, and it was like a daily routine. That's what we did. Every single day was a cycle, over and over again. So eventually, with that job, I had to take a test. I failed the test, so they were like, well, if you fail it one more time, you're going to get fired because you need to pass the test to keep the job. So I was like, all right, because it's very intense in Florida when it comes to social services. They really don't play around. So I was like, all right, I got this. So I really didn't study because I was just like so into this relationship that I was so caught up into it that I ended up failing again, and I lost the job. So then all this other crazy stuff that's just too crazy to talk about. It just went really, really bad to the point that I could have died. So I ended up losing out in the rent and everything like that. So I couldn't pay for it. So my cousin was like, you need to figure something out. So I started noticing when I would come home at night, the door was locked, even though I had a key, you know, like the old school, like
the top lock,
lock and stuff. She would close that on me, and I'm like, come on, man, like really? So I would find myself driving all the way to Orlando to sleep at my girlfriend's house. So I was like, I can't do this no more. So eventually I ended up moving to Orlando for like only 2 weeks at my girlfriend's house. And then finally one day I was just like, I had no money. I had nothing. Like I exhausted like all my resources out in Orlando. Well, not in Orlando, but in Florida, period. So one day I just found myself on my knees, and I was like, God, if you're real, like I need you to save me right now, because I'm to the point that I want to die. And no one knew, like anyone here at home, like no one knew, my mother, my father, like no one, my friends didn't know. The only one that really knew, and he was like my mentor, is my cousin. He lives in Buffalo, and he's saved. So I just got on my knees and I just asked God, like, help me. And it was crazy because my brother's friend ended up like calling me after I was on my knees and everything. And he's like, yo, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you crying? And I'm like, yo, I just want to go home. Like, I don't want to be here no more. Like, I just don't want to do it no more. He was like, how much do you need to come back to Jersey? So I was like, well, let me look up the train schedule and then I'll let you know. So I looked up the train schedule, and sure enough, he went to the bank, he deposited the money, and I kid you not, I'm not going to lie, I was like, yo, I'm not even going to go back home, I'm about to keep this one.
That was your first thought, right?
Yeah, that was my first thought. I was just like, yo, because I was still trying to like tough it out, even though I wanted to come back here. In a way, I was like, no. And then something just told me, like, I felt like God was telling me, like, if you do it with me, I got you all day. But if not, like, this is it. Like, this is your only chance. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it with you, and we're going to see where it goes. So I found myself February 14th for Valentine's Day, 2016, on a train back home with my heart broken and everything.
Wow. That's crazy.
So it sounds like you went and tried to do what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But at the end, I had to
fold.
Yeah. So when you say like your family, nobody knew what was going on, is that just because like you did a great job of hiding it from everybody? Everybody thought like you were doing a good job of making everybody think you were doing great, or it was just that you were so far away, like no one could really tell? Like, what do you?
Well, no one really could tell because I was far away. My mom knew that I had drinking issues because she would call me at times, and she's like, yo, where you at? And I'm like, at the bar. And then one day she called me while I was at the bar, and I was just slurring so bad. Like, it was so sloppy. And I just remember that conversation, her telling me like, yo, you such a pretty girl. Like, what are you doing with your life? And I'm like, yo, I really don't know. I was sitting outside at that time because I was like, I need air. Like, it's too much for me right now. And I was just like, I don't know right now. I can't even tell you like what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to figure things out. And she was like, all right, well, just don't get yourself in no stuff. So I was like, all right, cool. So she had an idea, but she didn't know to the extent of what was going on. Like, no one even knew that I was coming back home. I didn't even know I was coming back home.
Right.
So when I came knocking on the door, my dad was just like, yo, Elder, like, what your daughter doing here? And I'm like, I'm your daughter too. What's up?
Right. That's crazy. So, how long was it after you had that conversation with your cousin that you moved back?
So the conversation with my cousin, I didn't even know he was saved. So he ended up getting my number through like my other cousin that I'm close with, his sister. And we had that conversation from like, we started talking in 2015 during the summer, and he would just talk about God to me all the time. And I've noticed he was like, hey, get on this Bible app with me. And I was like, all right, cool. So we started doing like devotionals, Bible plans, and my really good girlfriend, I never called her my best friend. I always called her my sister. She was born again as well. So those two played a major role because they would speak life into me all the time. And they knew like everything that was going on at the time.
Oh, okay. And then you said you came back to Jersey, and you said you realized you need to do it with God this time. So how long was that until you started making the earrings and deciding that like what you were passionate about is what you needed to be doing? Like, how did that connect?
So I was going to a church called Kingsway at the time in Cherry Hill, and they have
Chapel Ave, right?
They have like this program.
Chapel Ave?
Oh, yeah, in Cherry Hill, yeah. So they have like this program. I forgot what it's called. Oh, Growth Track. So they were just like, oh, go to Growth Track. And I noticed like every time I was like at church, like this one Bible verse would come up all the time. And then even when I went to Growth Track, it kept on going up. Like, it just kept on resonating with my spirit.
What was the verse?
It was Matthew 6:21. For where your heart lies, there your treasure will be also. So that one was like, it stuck with me. Like, that's like my favorite Bible verse. So I was just like, okay, God, like, what are you trying to tell me? I would ask him all the time, like, what are you trying to tell me? And it just kept on going back to like your talent. Like, go back to what you love. Like, that's where, God gives us gifts, and that's where basically he finances in those gifts. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to give it a try and see where it goes. So I started like with my earrings, and I used to sell my earrings for dirt cheap at the time because I didn't know what I was doing. But I knew that whatever he had for me was way better than what I had for myself. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to rock out with you, and we just going to see where it goes from. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make this covenant with you. We're going to do this together, and I don't want anybody to interfere with what me and you have. And it was just me and him for a while. We just banged out together, and he just started showing me things little by little.
Like what?
He just started, like, for instance, so I could tell you, like, for instance, so a lot of people that follow me had just recently saw, like, Evie Queen wore one of my earrings.
Oh, okay.
And that's not something that I was looking for.
Didn't
like,
we do a tour with her?
Yeah, we did a tour with Evie Queen
okay,
way back in the day.
Really?
Yeah.
So people ask me all the time, like, how I made that connection. I'm like, yo, that's God. Like, they say, like, if you ask him for things, like, you shall receive, you just don't know what it is. And that was, like, one of the biggest blessings, because it just started going, like, viral. People were like, who is this girl? Who made these earrings? And I'm like, yo, it's Art by Sir.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Mhm.
That's what's up.
So now your business is growing, and talk about your business now, like what it is you do, like everything about it. Let us know. Rachel can pull up some shots.
Okay.
Oh, she got some stuff here.
So that's my Instagram page. Just last month for African Heritage Month, well, Black History Month, I was trying to display how African Americans are a big part of the Puerto Rican culture. That painting particularly, I actually made up that flag. It's supposed to represent the pride of the Boricuas, but power of the Black people.
You know what's crazy? When I was in high school, I used to, like in my graphic arts class, I used to make a flag that blended like the Black Pride flag with the Puerto Rican flag, because of that's our mix. You know what I mean? So I always like felt like that, you know, putting that flag together like meant something to me, putting those two cultures together, because they're so connected. And a lot of people don't consider Puerto Ricans Black, which is weird to me. Like, you know, I was going to mention how you rep Puerto Rico a lot on the Instagram, but I see that like there's a method to it.
Yeah. So at first when I started Art by Sir, I was just like figuring my way through it.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing that I love to paint is hearts and roses, like a typical girl stuff. But eventually, like, I found my niche, and that was doing nothing but Boricua, like, artwork. So I started doing that because I really didn't know, like, I know that I'm prideful and I'm a Boricua, but what does it mean to be a Boricua? So through my artwork, I've been learning more and more about, like, our culture, our history, our background. And the reason why I started doing, like, Afro Boricua, because a lot of people deny that we have African in our blood, and African is so inspired in our culture.
It is.
It's
We
so
talk about
heavy
that a
and
lot
deep
on here.
rooted.
We talk about that a lot on here.
Mhm.
Like, that's one of the things that it's interesting to me that a lot of, and it's not just Puerto Ricans, it's Dominicans. It's like, it's huge in the Latin American community to just be like, no, we're not African. You know, like, there's it's like almost like a stigma against it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is weird to me, because it's like it's so connected to everything about your culture, the food,
the music,
you know, just everything. Like even the way, the religion, like a lot of the
Santeria
a lot of that stuff all comes from Africa.
Voodoo.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's just weird to see the disconnect.
We can leave that.
Yeah, we don't need that.
We don't, need to leave that behind. But, But so what are some of the things that's interesting? Let's get into that. What are some of the things that you have like learned and discovered about that most people don't necessarily know? Or
So a lot of people don't even know like what Boricua means.
I don't know
at all. So Boricua comes from Borinque, which was the island of Puerto Rico before it became Puerto Rico when the Taino Indians had it. So it was the island of Borinque. So that's why people say, I'm so prideful, I'm a Boricua.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. It's like, come on, like I didn't either. But now that I know it, like, it's like, okay, now I'm very prideful to call myself a Boricua.
I know that from the song, from the anthem of it, but
I know it from Big Pun.
I didn't know if that was the yeah, that too, right? But I didn't know if that was like just in the song, like another slang term, another nickname. I didn't know that was the name of the island. You know what I mean? I never knew that.
So, like, a lot of people don't even know, like, our national flower is a hibiscus, but it's just not, like, a typical hibiscus. So, Puerto Rico has one rare hibiscus, and it's called La Maga. It's, like, a pink, reddish color. So, a lot of people don't even know that.
Do you have a picture of it on your Instagram?
Yeah, there you go. So, that's
La
like
Maga. They better stop messing around.
See?
Donald Trump going to take that. La Maga.
I see that flower, I think of Hawaii.
Yeah. That's nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's unique too, like you taking that heritage and turning it into art and turning it into jewelry and stuff like that. you don't see someone doing it in a
Rachel's in the background, like
so that's
the
like
gap.
everybody. That's
Yes.
like mostly like everybody's like
I have a
favorite
big can
painting.
of it in my house.
Yes, I drink that.
Yeah.
So that was actually inspired. So do you guys know that Café Bustelo had like a pop-up shop like in Philly a
Yeah.
couple of months ago?
I didn't know that.
Really?
So
Wow.
I went like sometime in September. I would like leave work real quick and go and grab my Café Bustelo and my empanada, and I would sit there and chill because they have like these red tables that you could sit outside. So one day I was just sitting there and I was like, I'm going to do a painting like inspired by this, and then I was just like, hit it off with a Loquillo Beach in the background, and I'm good.
Let me see that again because I couldn't
So
really
they had
see around the.
empanadas, or did you bring your own empanadas?
No, they had empanadas. Yeah.
Wow.
It's one of the easiest things to make. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's
that
nice.
painting is called
How many
Café
people
con
try to
Leche.
buy that from you?
So I actually don't sell any of my original paintings.
Right.
But this is my first copy print painting. And I haven't even promoted yet, and it's been selling.
That's what I'm saying. Like I know a lot of people probably try to buy that.
Yeah.
That's fire. I would put that in my house.
Yeah,
Like,
for real.
that's awesome.
Me too.
Thank you.
So now, let me ask you this though: do you ever drink Bilon coffee?
No, I don't. I actually don't really drink coffee.
Oh, for real?
I'm a tea drinker.
Yeah, I see. She asked for the chai tea.
Yeah.
Because they're both made in the same place. I've realized
Yeah.
that when I was buying them one time, like I was looking at the back, they're both manufactured in the same place.
Really?
So it's the same coffee.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Bilon is like
Bilon is
It's
it's a little
owned
bit
by,
cheaper.
Yeah.
Cubans, but it's made in New York City.
Yeah. But I realized that like, oh, this is the same coffee, just put two different packages.
Yep.
They do that all the time.
They have
in
like
factories.
a Bustelo. They just put out like a ultra blend.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I just saw it in the stores. The
I'm
other
waiting
day.
for them to come out with some Bustelo, pods for the my little Nespresso, man.
I love that Nespresso thing.
Yeah. So you don't drink coffee?
No, not like that. It
Really?
It makes me feel all jittery, and I don't like that feeling.
Yeah.
I don't.
I hear you. I'm so
So-
used to it.
Yeah.
So Joanna Reyes said, "Go girl," and your lady Batista said, "It was on God's time," and it's apparent that she flourished spiritually, creatively. Creatively, her inspiration comes from the above, and her pressing on has opened doors and opportunity. We are proud of her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you're very proud of her, then make sure you share the stream so other people can see what she's got going on. I want to say hi to Noe. Checked in. Noe was watching. Did you see him?
Noe?
Noe
Did
checked
you
in.
just do that on purpose, nosy?
Oh, I did do that by accident? Oh, that's a typo. It's supposed to be
okay.
Noe. Who's that? Oh, that's her phone.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Say what's
Shut
up to
up.
Bridget.
Sorry.
Bridget
Just turn the volume
checked
down. You
in.
can-
Yeah, you can watch it. Just turn your volume down.
Yeah.
That's what we
And
do.
you
That's
can
how we check the
respond
chat. You
to-
can respond to people.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We like to let the people know that they're not just watching for no reason. We talk to them. And if y'all have any questions for her too, or want to know where to get her artwork, just shout it out in the chat, or you can hit up her Instagram page. It's Art by Sir, all one word. And so keep talking about like your inspiration for your art and like the history of Puerto Rico and all of that, and like
What made you want to do that?
So it started with Hurricane Maria. So I wanted to shed light on it because of the devastation, and people really didn't understand how much it affected the land. So I was just like, hey, I want to give it a try. And I didn't do it like right during Maria or after Maria. I gave it a couple of months. So that was like the first painting that people were just like, whoa, like you're super talented. Like, won't you get into more of this kind of stuff? So I was just like, I'm going to give it a try. So I sat down and talked to my mom, and I was like, I really want to do like a whole like Puerto Rican like series of paintings, but I want to do an art show. So that's what inspired it, because I was like, if I do a whole series, I could do an art show and it would be all Puerto Rican theme. So then me and my mom sat down and talked. Like, she kind of like the one that helps me with art by Sir when it comes to ideas. She's like, won't you call it Tú eres Puerto Rico? So that's like my whole like Puerto Rican art painting series and jewelry is Tú eres Puerto Rico, meaning, you know, you are Puerto Rico.
You are Puerto Rico, right?
So it's like when I post like my paintings, I do shit like some light of the history and background of like why I got inspired or what does it mean or anything like that.
That's cool. I like it. What are you doing? Do you have something else in the works?
So right now, people know if they follow me on Instagram, because that's where like a lot of people follow me there more. Through my stories, you could see me right now painting a vigecante. Do you know what a vigecante is?
No.
So a vigecante, just like Brazil has like that big carnival, and then you have Fat Tuesdays in New Orleans. Like there's carnivals all over, you know, the world.
Right.
So Puerto Rico has one, and it's the Carnival de Ponce. So they have these vigecantes. Vigecantes are these masks that look like demons, whatever, and they're supposed to scare other demons away. You're supposed to wear them to just scare these demons out of the town. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm painting one of those.
Okay.
I wonder where the history of that comes from.
It comes from a mixture of, well, the whole idea of Fat Tuesdays comes from Lent, right? Leading up to that. So it comes from Catholicism, again, mixed with the voodoo. So like a lot of the costumes and a lot of that stuff comes from the voodoo side of things, and like the mixing of those two religions into like, you know, getting rid of these demons, but also getting ready for Lent, you know, becomes this whole big thing, this big celebration, you know. But yeah, they do it on all the islands. They do it. You know, Canada has a real big one because there's a lot of West Indian people out there now. But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even know Puerto Rico had one though.
Yeah, they do.
My wife probably knows about something about that because she's from that area.
Oh, okay.
Ponce.
Oh, okay. Well, what pueblo she's from?
I don't know.
You don't know? No.
I've never been to Puerto Rico, but Juanita has a lot of family. I don't know what part though.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, she's from a small little. Well, not her. She was born here, but her family, they're from like a little small town. Everybody knows each other. Like all her family, they're all like, they're not like intermarried, but like her.
Oh yeah, that's African influences.
What was that?
That painting I actually painted 10 months before I got saved. Well, after I got saved.
Is that a heart?
Yes, so that's a heart, and it's like a heart bleeding, and then those are 10 roses that represent the 10 months that I was like dating that guy, and then those are gold 10 rays that represents 10 months after I got saved.
You know what 10 means?
No, I don't. Enlighten me.
He will.
Well, I will tell you then. No, 10 in the Hebrew means the work of my hand, like the work of God's hand.
Oh wow!
So 10 is like a significant number, and it also breaks down to 1, and 1 is the Aleph, and it's the ox, and God or Jesus is an ox. He's an ox. He's a lion. He's a eagle, and he's a man, right? He has the 4 faces. But anyway, the ox represents how he works for you. He's gentle, but yet he works for you. But you got to allow him to work for you. And it has to do with being equally yoked. So you know how people say you got to be equally yoked, right? Well, it's not exactly the way people think. It's more like you let him work for you and plow your land, and eventually then you can come together with him, and you can be yoked together with him and move together with him.
Oh, wow.
Ox and an ox. So then you work with him for other people. So you allow him to work for you, and then by the work of his hand, you see things happen in your life. So.
That's so powerful. When I leave here, I'm going to cry. No, I'm serious. I'm a crybaby.
Just thinking about like, the 10 rays, the 10 it's just
flowers,
like that transition of how God worked for you in your life, we try to do stuff by the work of our own hand.
Yeah.
And it never turns out the way we think.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come to that point where, all right, now I'm going to give it over to you.
Yeah.
And then he takes it and he does what he does.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, cool.
That's so cool. And it's true because, like, I have seen him do, like, amazing things when I allow him to do it. When I'm like, Lord, use me. I don't know how you're going to use me. But go ahead, use me. He does things that I'm just like, wow, did I really do that? And he's like, no, like, I did that for you.
Right.
Like, I gave you my guidance through the Holy Spirit to do it, but it's not you. Like, you can't do it without me. And I'm like, okay, as long as you got me the whole time, I'm good. Like,
But that's
this is a
also
partnership.
something that keeps your ego in check too, and keeps your pride in check, because you know, if you're real, you know that you couldn't do this. You know what I mean? So you can't take the ownership of it. Like, look at what I did. You know what I mean? And that's what I think a lot of people that do take the path to, like, do it on their own, they do end up getting puffed up in that way, because there's nothing there to remind them that they needed help. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's true. I mean, since I've been doing Art by Sir, you know, physically, I've been doing it on my own, but spiritually, it's just been me and him.
Right.
And he's constantly reminding me, like, right now, I'm all that you need. Even when I'm exhausted and I'm tired, he's like, don't worry, like, I'll give you rest. Like, you're going to get rest, but it's just going to be me and you for now until he puts the right people in place. And right now, I've been so cautious because people are like, hey, what you need help with? And I'm like, like, this is not for anyone else. Like, this is mine. This is my baby. And I don't want
You're not ready to give it up to anybody else.
No,
yet. Yeah.
like, I don't have any kids. So that's my art is how I compare, like, people with their children. Like, you're so overprotective and so, like, just like a parent, you just, like, over your kids all the time, making sure they're good and they're well. And that's how I am with my art when it comes to me connecting with people and stuff like that. Like, I'm not sharing this with nobody. Like, this is my baby. I don't collaborate with everybody either. Like, I watch who I collaborate with. Depending, I watch people movements, what they say out their mouth. Because for me, like, I make sure, like, anyone who follows me knows that I'm a woman of God. Like, there's no way that I'm going to sit here and just say, oh, it's just me. I give God the glory every single time. So if I'm giving him glory and this is me and him thing, like, no, it's not for everybody to come in.
Yeah, we're like that with our music. Like, we've only collabed with one person we've been doing it since 2003.
Oh, wow.
And we've only done something, and that's recently.
Yeah.
And he was another Christian rapper. But yeah, you gotta keep it close, you know.
Yeah.
Especially the stuff that, like, for us too, the stuff that we do is God inspired. All our music, we believe it comes from God, and you know, you let other people get in it, and it muddies the water. You know.
I agree.
So
it gets contaminated, and people want to get in because they see the hype, so they want to get their name in it. And I'm like, nah, like, I kid you not, like, was it this week? No, last week. So some guy started following me. So I was, like, on live, because I'll try to show people at times. I don't really like people watching me paint. I hate it. It doesn't feel good with my spirit. But when it's just my alone time with God, like, it just feels amazing. But at times I'll put it on live so people could see. So this guy was just, like, pressing, like, hey, we should do a collabo together. And I'm like, nah, son, like, I'm really good. Like, I don't want to do a collabo. Like, I already have, like, my own project and ideas going on. So I don't want to mess up what I have in my flow to start messing with something that I don't even know if I want to get involved. So he was, like, so pressed on it that I was like, yo, you're about to get, like, the old Shaunique out, because now you're taking me to a level that I told you no means no. Like,
Right.
how many times you want me to tell you no? And I felt so bad because, like, my followers on there, they don't see that side of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that side started coming out to the point I had to apologize for my actions because I was like, yo, I don't mean to act like this, but how many times can I tell you no? And I was like, and I'm pretty sure after I get off this live, you're going to unfollow me because you're mad that I don't want to collaborate with you. It's nothing personal. Like, this is business. Like, Art by Sir is my name. I'm not going to put anybody else on my name just like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But someone like that unfollowing you is doing you a favor anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about that all the time. Like, if people don't like what we talk about on here, if they get offended, because sometimes we go in directions that people aren't, like, that's not the people that we want to have conversations with anyway. You know what I mean? We're about being honest and and talking about the things that we know are true. So, like, if that is too much for you, then this isn't for you, and that's fine. You know, and it's the same. I'm sure it's the same thing with you. Like,
I mean, not only that, like, you're gonna deal with stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's part of growing. That's part of learning. You learn how to deal with it.
Jordan checked in. What's up, Jordan? Jordan is our guitar player, and he also his wife is an artist, and he owns a art space in Woodbury, New Jersey. They have a gallery. They have a store.
Which we should connect her with.
Yeah, we should connect you with them because they do some stuff over there.
Lacey's watching, AKA Liz.
But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I wanted to talk to you about the process of painting or working, and like, cause it's just you and what you're doing,
and a blank canvas.
And what do you like? Are you meditating on stuff? Like, what do you do in that process?
So, like, the one with the flag that you guys just pulled up. So I just did that recently, like 2 weeks ago. So the week before, not even a week before, a couple of days before I did that painting, I was at work just sitting there at my desk, and this idea just clicked in my head. So I was just like, okay, let me get a blank piece of paper and let me just sketch something out real quick. So I'll like sketch something out real quick, like, and it doesn't look like that. It's like real sloppy, like little kid stuff. And then I'll write words around it. Because the words will like
inspire the
idea. So I'll write like, okay, like African print, or like the other painting, like the Afro. Oh my gosh, it's a heart. It's like a piece of Africa in a heart. That one. So that one, like, I drew that one out, and then I wrote like the words around it. I put African print, but then I was like, ooh, African fabric, Taino symbols, African symbols, and I wrote all that stuff, and then that's how I came up with that.
I like that a lot.
Do you ever get any criticism from Puerto Ricans
Trolls
that are like, yo, why are you putting this African stuff with the
No, I actually got like really, really good feedback from a lot of people with that, because it's not surprising. A lot of people are very prideful that they're Afro Boricuas or Afro Latinos. So I got great feedback. Do I get trolls once in a blue? I absolutely do. At first, I used to entertain it because, you know, I'm just getting into...
What was the funniest troll?
The funniest
comment?
troll? Oh, my gosh. I don't even know, like, because... Not funny.
I'm just asking because that's like one of my favorite things, just to go look at what people say
just troll
on
comments.
a video.
Yeah. Well, me being a female, like, I get certain guys in my inbox, and those are the funniest.
Oh, the DMs.
The DMs, because I'll respond, but I'll respond like really nicely. Like, if they say something like, hey, pretty, I'll be like, thank you.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, it's so dry, and it's
Yeah.
just like they still press on. It's like, come on, dude. Like,
because they look at any reply as, ooh, I'm in. You know,
and it's like, yo, like,
that's how dumb these dudes are.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you. That's it.
And he's like, ooh.
No emoji face.
responded.
Like, no nothing.
Got her. Slid in them DMs.
Daddy.
Yeah.
But no, it has gotten very nasty to the point that I did get harassed on social media, like bullied. And I had to block so many people because it was just too much.
Did you ever get it from like black people?
No.
No?
I got it from our own kind, Boricuas.
Yeah.
Like, they are the nastiest people, okay? And I'm a Boricua myself, but they are so nasty.
I was just wondering because, like,
So nasty. Like, I was so hurt by it. I was like, come on now, my own people disrespecting me like this. I'm like, all right, cool.
That's usually how it happens, though.
Yeah.
Jordan said, yeah, it looks like I picked the right guest to watch. Haha. Gotta come through the store gallery in Woodbury when you get a chance. We'll send you.
yeah.
We'll send you what he's got. Maybe you could check it out one day. It's a nice spot. They got like, well, you don't like coffee, but they got this. They got this real nice.
Do you have tea,
espresso
Jordan?
bar
Yeah,
in there. Jordan has
have
tea.
Whip up some tea.
Jordan has tea. He has tea, and he's a dope guitar player too.
All right, cool.
I wanted to get your opinion on this because this is the topic that has come up on this podcast a bunch of times, especially because like it's been in a social media like battle recently over the last few months. It's the concept of Puerto Ricans using the N-word.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, come on, you know you grew up in Camden.
So let me tell you something. I use that word all the time.
Right.
Okay? I was born and raised in Pollock, which is like the blackest part of Camden. Like it's Pollock, Parkside, and Fairview, like bang. And I'm like the only Puerto Rican like on the block. So you're used to saying the N-word all the time. And I've said it to my black friends and they don't look at me wrong. But when you say it like on social media and there's like people that's not from your area and they see you say that, it's like, why are you saying that? Like, because that's how I was born and raised. Like, you say it like that's your friend. Like, that's my...
Right.
You know?
So, but do you see it as... Because we were just talking about the Afro-Latino heritage and all of that. Like, is there a difference? Like, should there be a difference? Like, should there be a separation between... Like, for us, it's all dumb anyway. But, like,
it's
we just
stupid.
like... We just like having this debate because people really go back and forth about this. So we like getting people's opinion on it.
I could see if I use it in a negative, like, content and use... ER at the end, then okay, yeah, then fault me for it because I'm wrong. Like that's just out of line. Like that's somebody calling me a spick. But if I'm using it in the term that you do when you're hanging with your friends, what's the issue?
Right.
It shouldn't be an issue. Like I was born and raised in the hood. Like that's how people in the hood speak. Now, if you're not born and raised in the hood, you was born like in the suburbs, then that's a whole different story. That's not really your lingo. But if that's the lingo that
but what if it is though? What if you in the suburbs and they still talk like that?
That's fake to me.
But why? Why is that fake? People talk like that everywhere.
Because
it's become so commercialized through music, hip hop. You know what I mean?
just
Like,
culture.
I mean, it depends.
Because it's different. Like when you in the hood, that's like a culture thing. It's not something that we, was like, oh, that's cool. Like I'm following a trend kind of thing.
No,
like
but,
here it's like a culture. Like,
but the culture spreads though.
Yeah.
Like all cultures do, right? The culture grows and it goes beyond the borders of the hood.
Like
and
the
then
hip hop culture went all the way to Korea. Now it's this huge
like
thing.
we grew up in Sicklerville.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Sicklerville's kind of hood.
But
Let's be
our
real.
area was
especially now. When
when
we first moved there though, it was really nice. It was a different environment.
Yeah,
and then
but
it slowly turned into what it is now. But like, yeah, it's like hood. So you get a pass because you're from Sicklerville, like to use that word.
Yeah, that's why it's like, I don't know. But I do see what you're saying because you can like there are some areas it's like okay you just
like the what's the skit from the Dave Chappelle episode when remember
the kid
from Trading Spouses?
Yeah, Trading Spouses.
Remember they switched families and he had a little white son and he went in his room. He was listening to G Unit. He's like, "What you listen to?" He said, "I'm from the streets, man." Then he took his ass out to the hood and was like, "All right,
get out."
He was like, "All right, you're home. Say what's up to the homies for me." Yeah. So Jordan has a question. He said, "Yo, what if the N-word becomes like preferred pronouns where each person tells you what you're supposed to call them?" What?
What?
I think you're thinking about this too much.
identify as is that what he's trying to say?
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting debate because it's like you said, like the culture in the hood is just that's how everybody talk. Like in New York, there's white dudes that say it because of where they're from, you know, and it's cool, it's fine, no one cares. My cousin is one of them, but
he's part Puerto Rican.
Yeah, barely.
Dude, not even
barely,
like
barely.
But when I'm walking down the street in South Philly and there's 5 like clearly Irish boys talking to each other, and they're arguing about something, and every single one of them is throwing that back and forth. Like, what the fuck wrong with you, you stupid? Like, that's like they're in South Philly, and you know what I'm saying? Like you're saying, there's like a certain like, it's that street cred factor,
right?
Yeah,
where depending on who you rub elbows with and how you grew up, like it's very nuanced,
right?
Like some people, it doesn't sound wrong coming out of their face, but then some people, you're like,
why are you using
what?
It doesn't sit right. So we need to like be able to use some type of like feeler system where we can determine, all right, that didn't feel right when you said that.
Right.
But,
I mean, no.
But that's what I'm saying.
No.
It's weird to me.
Because you're playing in a world that you don't need to play in. That's the problem. Like
what do you mean? I'm not playing in any world.
You playing in it when you're talking about it, and you try. Oh, we need to do this. No, you don't need.
I was saying that sarcastically.
Okay, but my point is, like,
your point is there's no right answer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you like?
Because my point is, even if you're saying like that's the culture in those places, but culture never stays in those places. Culture has a life of its own, and it grows beyond that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So once the movement grows beyond that, how do you then control those little things that you think are pocketed there?
That's the problem, though. You got people who come in and they want to like put rules on things that didn't have rules before. It's just like hip hop. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like you put rules on stuff that it's just like religion. Same thing. Like what's permissible, what's not permissible. You know what I mean?
Oh, Jordan said, I don't identify as N, so don't call me that.
I don't think many people are calling you N-word anyway.
That was the Dave Chappelle joke in his stand up. He was talking about that.
What?
Because he was talking about how when he got in trouble for using the F word, not the F-U-C-K word.
I know what you're talking
about. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
the joke where he said he got in trouble for that on one of his sketches, and then they brought him in and they were like, well, you can't say that word because you're not gay. And he was like, well, I'm not a nigga either, but I can say that. You know what I mean? So it was like how do you have that rule there, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think it's like,
I think it's ridiculous.
So do I.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Either do I, but that's why I'm talking about it to show the ridiculousness.
Yes, I know. But at the same time, it's like the people who care so much, they don't care. You know what I mean? They're gonna hold to their rules.
I think
they backfire on.
I don't even think people really care. Like but there is a lot of black people.
But that's why I was asking her, like, has she gotten any backlash? Because there's some people who are like so pro-black that even like.
Yeah, they'll be like, don't.
Wait,
hold on. So now that I'm thinking about it, the only backlash that I got was that someone commented and said that Afro Boricuas are not the only Afros, that there's other Latinos. And I was like, well, if you refer back and read what I wrote, I basically said and included Afro Latinos. I didn't just say Afro Boricuas. Like, I know that when it was the African slave trade, I forgot what it's called because I can't think.
Transatlantic.
Yeah. When they came, they went through, the Caribbean islands, then they went to South America, and that's why
Mexico.
Yeah, so that's why there's a lot of like Colombians, Venezuelans that are really dark. I was like, if you read, because a lot of people on social media, they really don't read. They just like to talk, just to talk. I'm like, if you read, I said that on there. And once they seen that, because she was like, the girl who said it, she was like, yeah, so I'm going to get on my blog and I'm going to talk nasty about you. I was like, girl, what you going to talk about? Like, I already put it on there about other Afro Latinos.
But even if you didn't, why, like, you're highlighting a specific thing. Why do you have to include like this whole broad stroke? If you want to highlight the thing that you identify with that means something to you, you don't have to talk about everybody's situation.
Mhm.
That's like crazy to me.
I don't.
Like if I want to talk about someone who grew up in multiracial and no one can tell what race I am,
Mhm.
I'm gonna talk. I don't have to go into everyone's story. I'm just gonna talk
Yeah.
about mine. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like that's crazy.
But that's always insecurity. You know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
from other people.
And that's social media.
Yeah, it is,
Everybody's given
unfortunately.
the platform
Mhm.
to troll.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. A whole lot of them.
That's why I ignore him. Moan can't ignore him.
Come on, baby.
Moan be fighting. He be fighting with people on Facebook.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to entertain it, but now I'm just like, yo, you just get blocked
Yeah.
automatically. And like guys already know, like I know how to already, like guys, when they try me, I'm like, I'll start putting up like all these posts about God. I'll start putting up posts like how a woman should wait to have sex until marriage, and guys don't like that. They make them feel so uncomfortable. And I'm like, yes,
That's
we
good,
just
right?
out
Yeah.
because I don't want that. Like I'm telling you exactly what I want. And if you don't like it, keep it moving.
Right.
So is
right.
it hard to find, or not that you're looking, but is it hard to find a man?
Yes, it is. So I actually just got out of a relationship not too long ago.
Okay.
And how can I say this without being? I'm just going to be transparent. So he was a counterfeit, flat out. He was.
There's a lot of them going on.
Yeah, so he was born and raised in knowing God. His mother and his father are Christians. Like his mother is like the true definition of like a Christian woman goals. Like she is just a beautiful, beautiful soul. Like that's where I want to get on the level she's in. And he was brought up in knowing to have a relationship with the Lord. But people don't understand when it's a relationship with the Lord, you have to be quiet to hear him. You could talk to him all day, but he wants to have a relationship. He want to connect with you. And he didn't understand my connection like that. He understood that I was a Christian woman. He respected that I didn't want to have sex unless I was married. So those things was great about it. But there are other things that weren't, that separated us. So that's what kept me going in that relationship, because I was like, I'm not going to find this like that. He respected that because he came from that background, but he was a counterfeit because he didn't go to church. Like he didn't pray with me that I wanted to do. Like I wanted to do things like God was the center of everything, like he is with me right now with my art. Like he's the center of my art. He's the center of, you know, my regular 9-to-5 job. He's the center of every single thing that I do. So if you're coming in a relationship with me, he has to be in the center of it, or not. Like you said, like we're not really evenly yoked. It's not going to work because God is working on me, but you ain't allowing him to work on you, kind of thing. So, before him though, and even now, like it's so hard because when I do speak to someone, I don't give them really a chance, because I'm like, I don't really want to give nobody the privilege to be in my presence to say that you took me out to dinner. I could take my own self to dinner. I could buy my own stuff. So I don't really need that. But when I have a conversation, I let them know from the door, like, in order to be with me, like, these are the stipulations. And if I was to be in a relationship with you, like, I'm not having sex with you. I'm not staying over your house. Like, I'm not doing any of those things unless I'm your wife. Like, my body doesn't even belong to me. It belongs to the Lord. And it's for me to wait for my husband. So until then, like, it's not going down. And they be like, oh, okay. And I'm like,
It always starts out like that, right?
yeah. And I'm like, all right, peace. Like, I know I ain't going to hear from you no more.
Yeah.
So what are the other stipulations? You say you lay out all the stipulations.
So I do.
I'm just interested.
For me, as you can see, I have an airplane on my ring finger. And this is me dedicated to my travel life. I love to travel. When I got saved for 2 years, like, the Lord blessed me. When I mean blessed me, every month I traveled somewhere. I traveled to Barcelona, Spain on Valentine's Day. I traveled to Cartagena. I traveled to Toronto, Seattle, Nashville, You name it, like it was me and him all day. So that's what I love to do.
And you just go by yourself?
I sure do.
Wow.
I don't need nobody else. Just me and God, we good.
That's amazing.
So it's
a lot of people aren't secure enough to do that, you know?
And no, they're not. Like, people are like, you really went by yourself? Like, you're not scared? And I'm like, it's actually safer in some of those countries for a girl to travel alone than what it is here in the States.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people are like, how did you travel to Colombia with all that crazy stuff? And I said, because I did my research. And if you do your research, it tells you, like, that's one of the safest countries for a woman to travel to. Like, the guys don't really play that stuff out there. Like, even when I went into cabs, like, guys would tell me, do not go to this area. Like, this area is not safe. Like, that's how they are out there. They make sure that you're good. They'll let you know where to go and everything. So I'm comfortable alone. Like, as long as I know that I have God with me, like, I'm very comfortable. You can put me anywhere and I'm like, all right, let's do this. I'll figure out a whole plan and everything. So one of those things is, like, you need to have a passport to be with me. Like, I can't see myself with someone who doesn't have a passport. Like, what we gonna do? Because this is what I enjoy doing. And not only that, like, if I'm home and I'm here, I don't like to watch TV like that. I'm not really a big fan of TV, and it's but so much you could go to the movies because you're not really interacting and talking, and that's like typical nowadays.
Right.
People like, let's go to the movies. I'm like, well, how am I get to know you? Like,
Right.
we're not really talking.
That's the worst date ever.
Yeah, like, I hate it when people are like, you want to go to the movies? I'm like, no, I'm good. But, like, take me, let's do something different. Like, go to plays, art museums, or walk in a park, something that we're interacting. Like, I need someone to interact with me. And for whatever reason, it's hard for men to interact. Like, if they're not doing something, I guess, like sitting down and eating kind of thing. It's true. And for me too, it should be easy because I love sports. I'm into sports. I'm a huge Eagles fan.
Oh,
like, anybody that knows
you sitting
me,
next to the right one right there.
Really? Oh my God, I'm a Malcolm Jenkins fan too.
Oh, okay.
I love Jenks.
That's my boo on the low. I love Malcolm Jenkins.
That was a solid grab, boy,
Yeah.
from the Saints.
Yeah. So I'm like, yo, you could take me to a football game and I'm happy. Like, I'm not that hard or difficult, but for guys, I guess I'm very intimidated because I'm so, like, independent. I get up and go as I please, and I do whatever I got to do on my own.
I think that guys are just lazy nowadays. Like, guys don't, because this is the era of Netflix, this is the era of in social media, Tinder, like, men aren't being taught by their fathers and mothers how to court a woman, you know what I mean? And how to date and how to, spend that quality time together anymore. They're not being taught that. So now you're dealing with these men that have been babied pretty much their whole life and trying to find one that's adult enough to be a good husband. You know what I mean? It's not an easy thing. So,
Yeah,
I'll be
hard.
praying for you.
I'm going to need all the prayers, okay?
I think they're out there. It is
They
hard.
are.
Yeah.
But I'm
It is
saying
hard.
they're not as out there as they were 50 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? They are out there. And and God has shown me through my singleness, like, they are out there. But the ones he have showed me, because he wants me to see, but he'll let me know they're not for you. Like, for instance, I remember this guy, he lived in North Jersey, like next to New York. He would literally come all the way to Camden, pick me up and take me to Philly, go out on a date, drop me off, and go all the way back home. And he'll get home like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, how do you do it? But whatever. But God was showing me, like, if a man really wants to pursue you, he's going to go out his way. It doesn't matter where he's at. Like, he's going to go out his way and court you like a man is supposed to.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, cool, God. Like, thank you for showing me because I've never seen this before.
Yeah, right.
So now I have that mind frame, like, when people say certain things to me, like certain guys say things to me, I'm like, all right, I believe it when I see it, kind of thing, because
it's
you
easy
just
to
doing
say
all
that.
this, but you're not showing me anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was reading this article about how, like, the testosterone levels in men is so much lower now than it was,
right? Yeah.
like 50 years ago.
Wow.
And then 100 years ago it was even more like a grown man nowadays is like in the mid 200s, and like back then it would be like in the 600s, their T score level. So it's like there's something to that, you know what I mean? Something that is might
we're
be
not chopping wood, we're not hunting anymore.
We're not
have
doing
to do it. Some of the food we
eat, the way we're being raised, the way we're being, being a man now is like being told. Boys are being told not to be boys anymore.
Yeah. I agree.
And then men are being told not to be men. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what?
It's toxic.
It's very toxic, and I have like a big issue with that. And
no, I'm saying they're saying that being a man is toxic.
Yeah. No, and I'm saying like that's the issue.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this like because I've noticed like because I do social services, and when I'm looking up resources for my families and my children, but I need resources for men. There's no resources for men. Like literally, the only resource you could find is like for what's this, like if they have like a malfunctioning whatever, like that's the only resource that they have. Like they don't have
like erectile dysfunction
stuff.
Oh.
And I felt uncomfortable.
I got you. You worry about it.
So thank you. So that's the only resource that they have. But they have so many resources for women. They have so many resources for children. But unfortunately, there's nothing for men. Like, men go through a lot of things. Men go through mental health issues. Men go through, body changes. Men go through, depression and all kinds of things. And that makes me upset because, like, nowadays, as women, it's always like, women empowerment, like screw men, Me Too movement.
Yeah.
And I'm not really into that. Like, I guess because now I'm a woman of God and I understand, like, being submissive and all of that. Like, it's okay to be submissive to your husband.
But that doesn't mean you're being ruled by, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, where people get it twisted.
Yeah, like, the man is the leader. He's supposed to be the leader. Right. He's supposed to lead you. Like, and you're supposed to be the helper. But to women, like, it's just too much for them in today's society. And it's cool and all, but it's sad to me to see that. Like,
well, I understand like where it comes from. Just like I understand where, black people can get their hurts and insecurities from like police and all that. Like it comes from a place of like, yeah, that's how it's been, but you got to heal from it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the problem. Like they want to, it goes back to like doing it by their own hand. Like they want to show that they want to prove themselves. You know what I mean? Women want to prove themselves. Anybody, people want to prove themselves, and that's the thing that blinds them.
I think with social media too, that's major. Like everybody want to be so prideful. Like I'm so independent and I could do things on my own, and that's great and all. But we all have weaknesses, and nobody wants to show that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Like everybody want to be so prideful and stuff. And sometimes I let people know, like, yeah, I'm broke today. Like, yeah, I have my own business. Yeah, I work full time, but yeah, I'm broke. I have mental health issues at certain days and stuff like that. Like it's okay to show weakness.
Right.
It shows that you're real, you're authentic. Like you're relatable to people instead of making it seem like everything is so happy-go-lucky all the time.
Yeah.
People are attracted to honesty.
Yeah, they are.
They're not. I feel like nowadays people are tired of being like shown a facade of who, even the people that they choose to engage with on social media nowadays. You're starting to see that like people are being attracted more to honesty and
being vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerability and all of that. And I think like what you're saying is true. Like there's this culture on social media of everyone just wanting to show the best parts of everything, to show how great, how lit my life is, and show everyone how amazing I am and you ain't on my level, And it all that does is feed that beast in everyone else.
That ego.
Yeah. And it makes you and it touches that insecurity in everybody where it's like, well, am I doing enough? Is my life maybe and going back to the thing with the men, like you were saying, there's not a lot of resources for men, there's not a lot of things that you can find. But I feel like there's also, you were talking about the ED thing. So to me, we talked about this before on here. There's a huge problem with young men being addicted to porn at early ages.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that is affecting them into their adulthood as well.
Yeah.
I believe it. Like, so if you go on Twitter, right? And I didn't even know like how much access you could get to porn now. Like, it's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
if you even hashtag like Latina, because I used to use hashtag for my art stuff on
Right.
Twitter. Yo, I really was like, let me go on and let me see what this is about. When I did, it was nothing but porn of Latina.
porn.
I'm like, yo, what's going on?
And that,
Like,
isn't that crazy? Like Twitter has
wait,
straight
there's-
up porn,
there's porn on
yeah,
Twitter?
yes, they do. I've
Really?
seen it
Yeah.
all on Twitter.
I
I was
never
like
knew that.
scrolling and I was
It's
like,
accessible.
Video,
And
like
they
you
don't-
click
yeah,
play,
they don't
you
and
click
there
it,
is
and
It's
porn.
accessible
It is
to anyone.
porn.
To
I was
anyone,
like, Lord
yo.
Jesus, forgive my eyes right now. Like, I
And that's
didn't-
crazy to me. They ban people for all this other
For dumb stuff.
bull crap.
Yeah.
Oh no, on Twitter it's like
But porn
big.
is
Yeah.
allowed on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's
That's-
crazy.
That is
Full
crazy.
on porn.
You should
And
hashtag Latina, not porn. start your own.
Start your own
Start
stuff.
my own trend.
Yeah, but I think that's another huge issue that people just kind of don't want to talk about and don't want to look at is the idea that like there's so much accessible to especially young teenage boys that are just figuring all this out, and all of their friends are like, even because when we were growing up it was like if your boy didn't have the Playboy channel or like
Yeah.
if they didn't have some old magazine somewhere, you couldn't had no access to this stuff. You know what I mean?
It's so accessible now. Like, even in social media, like, I've been learning, like, with my journey with the Lord to cover up more. Because he convicts me all the time, like, yo, don't show that. Like,
Right.
that don't belong to anyone else but your husband. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, come on. But sometimes, you know, as a female, you want to show a little something.
Right.
But with him, it's like you can't. And I'm
Because then
starting
you
to-
gotta go back to like, why am I showing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What
Like-
am I doing? What am I feeding with that? Like what is the real reason why I'm showing this? Yeah.
Yeah, like what's the impression that I'm giving to a man?
Right.
Like, and I don't want to give the wrong impression. Like, I want you to see me from in here, not all this that's
Yo, it's
going
funny
on.
because
And
we
you
were
weak.
just having this conversation with Jason.
Really?
We were talking. Remember, we were talking about because we were talking about the whole Lizzo thing and body positivity and this
Oh,
whole
Jesus.
yeah.
So, let me tell you something. So that bothers me a lot. And not just with her, but me as a female when I go on social media and I see, like, for instance, I seen a girl, she had a see-through shirt. And, you know, girls will wear just the nipple covers. But it has gone to the extreme. There's no nipple covers
Right.
now. It's just, like, all out. And I'm
Right.
like, honey, like, do you understand, like, yeah, I get it is body positivity, whatever you want to call
That's
it.
what
But
it's being cloaked with.
it
yeah.
brings like the wrong intentions. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, I'm trying to cover myself up right now and you just want to show it all out. But that's what it is. It got into that point that you could show everything except, you know, basically women not showing their vagina.
Right.
But you might as well show that too.
Right.
While you at it, you
Body-
showing everything
be
else.
positive of the whole
Yeah,
thing.
and I just don't understand too. Yeah, like, I don't understand like the nipple covers at all. Like, you still showing your breasts.
Right. But I think what it is again, social media has girls addicted to the likes and addicted to the attention that they get in the comments, all the fire emojis, and you know what I mean, dudes in their DM. It makes them feel valid in some way, which speaks to just like the culture of insecurity we're raising in our daughters.
Fear.
But yeah, fear of not being wanted, not being prettier than the next girl, so you do all this extra stuff to make yourself prettier than the next girl. You know, so all of that happens there. But what we were talking about is like the idea that women, because he was kind of saying that women should be able to wear whatever they want and no man should ever have the right to like treat them ill or anything. Because we were talking about the fact that like sometimes a woman will present herself in a certain way and then not understand why she's getting a certain type of attention or why she's getting like a certain type of dude being aggressive towards her because of what she's wearing, you know. And we were saying that it's true that, you know, nobody has the right to touch her, nobody has the right to violate her, but there is a certain aspect of like you making that choice to wear that is gonna draw a certain type of thing that you can't have control over. And you have to be aware of that in some way. You can't just totally say, well, I have the right to do this. You know, it's just like I was using the example to him, like, you know, if you certain type of white dude in the middle of the hood at the wrong time of night and somebody robs you, you know what I mean?
Or just you got money and you over here counting it in front of people.
Right.
They gonna take it.
But it's like, so no one should do that to you because you should have the right to have your money wherever you want to have it. No one should violate you. But there's certain decisions that you know not to make in certain situations because of what can come with that. And for some reason, we're getting to this place where people are trying to tell women that it's okay to do that no matter what. And then you have this whole body positivity thing, which is also pushing women to believe that like being obese and being, unhealthy in that way is beautiful as well. You know what I mean? And there's a difference between being confident and being okay with who you are and just being like,
butt naked.
Yeah. Right. Being butt naked doesn't mean you're confident.
No,
it means you're not confident and you're trying to prove that you are.
Because you could still, men really don't even, a man that's really interested in a woman, like some women, when a man wants a woman, he wants that woman. That's why women at times don't understand men. Like they just think like, why not me? Because he wasn't ready for you, sis.
Right.
Like that's what it is. Like you weren't for him for whatever reason. Like you weren't for him. Like let's say for instance, a man might not go to a beach with that girl, but then he finds that one and he's not interested in the beach, but she likes it. He's like, all right, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. That's how it works, I guess. Like
you wasn't the one.
You just wasn't the one.
You wasn't the one to get him to go to the beach. It's true though. It's true.
Yeah. I mean that it kind of makes me think of like our relationship with God too in a way. Like how when you see him in the way, it's like the dove eyes thing. You know what I mean? Like when you see him in a way that he's showing himself to you, you're going to go further than what you would go before.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
agree. When he's quiet, we get intimidated. Like we feel insecure because we're like, hey, what's going on? Like I can't hear from you. You're not talking to me. I don't hear from you at all. Like what's going on? And he's like, that's that time where he wants us to trust him and press on.
But what do we do a lot of times? Then we go off and do other things.
We kind of do our own thing. I don't necessarily, I do, but I don't. Because I know where I came from. I don't want to go back. So that scares me. Mm. Like I might like fall back from him. Like I'm not reading your word today. Like I don't want to talk to you. And I let him know. Like people think like, let's say like the church, they're like, you can't tell God that. And I'm like, well, he already know I'm mad at him. So why I'm not going to be real with him. Like he real with me when he's upset at me. Like when he feels some kind of way with me. So why wouldn't I establish that relationship with him? Like that's my father. That's my king. That's my everything. So I'm going to keep it real with him. Like today, not today. I don't want to bother with you today because why? Like I haven't heard from you. Like where you disappear from. Like I know you say you'll never leave me or forsaken me, but I feel some kind of way because I haven't heard from you in a while. Mm-hmm. But the moment that you do hear from him, like I know for me, like I'm a crier when I know it's him and his presence. Like I'm that one that in a Pentecostal church on the floor, okay, like just rolling and crying because I'm just like, wow, like me, like I'm so undeserving. Like just the other day I was, turning my cheek because I haven't heard from you, but you like, no, like I was there the whole time. It's just that, at times when he's quiet, he's putting us through a test. Right. And he wants to see, are you going to succeed and pass this test or are you going to fail and then we're going to try it all over again until you get it right. And it's just like, okay, I get you now. Like, let's do this again. Yeah.
That's he's trying to draw us close. That's something that, because you just said about, like when Jesus said, he was on the cross and he said, why have you forsaken me? Mm-hmm. And it hit me the other day. Like he was crying out because he was like, he didn't feel him. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, I have to feel you. You know what I mean? And that thing was literally what ripped through, like where he was rose again, where he came back to him. He did not want to let go. You know what I mean? And that's the thing with us. We're in that place where we don't want to let go. We're going to break through or rip through that thing that's trying to keep us. Because there is like spiritual aspect that wants to keep us separated from God.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But he allows that so that we can we can fight a little bit in faith. You know what I mean? And then we get past that, or he works with us through that, you know, to overcome.
And I think, like, for people, they don't understand, too, like, God tells us, like, there is power, like, a breakthrough is through worship. So at times, like, people are like, I don't know, like, I like worship. And I'm like, you like worship because that's that moment where if you pray and worship with all your heart, everything you got inside you, like, there's a breakthrough coming. Like, it's guaranteed that there's going to be a breakthrough. It's not, may not be at the time that you want it to, but it's his perfect timing. Like, his timing is always immaculate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the way he works in our lives. What's up?
I just got a text from my wife. She was like, "My dad is watching. Be good." What's up, pops?
What does that mean? Be good.
I don't know.
But that I want to. So the story, like with you, your story is in your journey.
Yes.
And that's like, that's where the passion comes from. You know what I mean? Like it's always, because people always want to talk about, like, they want to get to that destination, but it's the journey is the thing.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm human. I want to get to that, you know, destination, but I'm enjoying every single part of this journey, every single fruit that I have ate from his table has been beautiful. Even to the point, like, I had an experience, you know, when God says, like, I'll prepare a table for you in front of your enemies. I never understood what that verse meant. Like, I understood it, but not to the point where, he really, like, had me in front of a table and my enemy was, like, right across from me watching me. Because you knew me from my past and you wanted to see me fail and you did things to me and you made me get ugly with you before. And look what God has done. And you know, a little bit, I got a little cocky inside, like, yeah, that's what's up, God. But he does things to you that you just like, wow, did you really do that for me? But then you see, you know, at times, like, you do feel like he's not there because that's what the enemy wants you to believe. He's constantly like a roaring lion, like he's always trying to attack you. He attacks you a lot in your thoughts as well. And a lot of people don't understand that. And that's why it's important to stay in prayer, stay encouraged, be in groups, constantly listen to his word. And even a lot of people don't know, like, even music, like, music influences us so much. Like, music takes us back to times in our lives that sometimes we don't even want to go there. But once you hear that song, you remember exactly what you wore, how your hair looked, even the cologne perfume you had on, and the person you was with. And some of those memories are not great memories. And that's why, like, they say it's important to listen to, you know, worship music, to have that joyful spirit around you, because when you're listening to that, sometimes it's not a good thing at all, because it takes you back to places you don't want to be in.
Right.
Jamie, I need your charger. Where is it? For the Mac.
Should have been plugged in.
That one's mine over there.
You want one?
Yeah, I need one.
It should be right there.
Well, while they're figuring that out, I've been getting songs, and I've told y'all about that, like, because sometimes it won't be worship music, but sometimes God will speak to you through, like, just regular songs. You ever get that?
Well, you know what I got before? And, Jesus. So when I got saved and I started painting again.
The mic.
What you need?
No, I was just saying, speaking to the mic.
Oh, okay, my bad.
You don't just, around it.
Yeah, so like, you know how you said that he talks to me. Well, he talks in all kinds of forms. So I remember one time I was just, you know, sitting in my room and painting, and, like, I felt his presence and what he was telling me. And he spoke through me through my art. And I just remember just sitting there, like, weeping and travailing, like, yo, is this really happening? Like, I couldn't believe it at first, because, you know, I was just getting these encounters with him and knowing who he is. So I was, like, very sensitive, like, ooh, what's going on? And just knowing how sweet he was to be like, yo, I'm here. Like, I'm here in what you do.
Right.
Like, I gave you this gift. Like, you gonna be okay. And I'm like, wow, Lord, like, this is just amazing and beautiful. Like, I know people want to hear, like, another person talk, because who doesn't? Like, I love when someone that don't even know me and then they speak life into me that they don't even know what's going on, but God gave them that word.
Right.
But when he does it in different forms, like while I was painting, I remember one time when I went to Colombia, my last day, he prepared a table for me on the beach and he spoke to me. And I remember just sitting there and the girl was coming with like my plate of food. And I was sitting there and I was just crying. And she was like, what's wrong with you? Like, you okay? Like anything? And I'm like, no, like this is just so beautiful right now. And she was, and then it was like Christian music in the background, and come to find out it was Spanish Christian music. It was one of my favorite like Christian Spanish songs. So it made me weep more. So she was like, are you a Christian? And I was like, yeah. She was like, I am too. And I'm like, oh crap. So we both just started sitting there just like crying and crying. And then we connected like through WhatsApp app, and we became like cool over the couple of months. We ended up losing connection. But it was just like a beautiful thing how he even connects us to our brothers and sisters in Christ all over wherever we go. So he has done those kind of things. Like, for instance, I remember I went to Seattle, and when I was in Seattle, there was like a big snowstorm out here, so I couldn't even fly back. So I ended up getting stuck in Seattle. But I couldn't understand why. I'm like, Lord, like, I'm trying to get back home. I don't want to stay out here no more. Like, there's nothing else to do. Did everything that I needed to do. And the purpose was, there was a girl that followed me, because I have another Instagram where it's just all my travels. So the girl hit me up. She inboxed me. She was like, I really want to meet you. So I'm like, you want to meet me? Like, all right, well, where do you want to meet? Whatever. So we ended up meeting together for happy hour. So we was just sitting there, and when I tell you, I was sitting like across from her crying, because she was telling me like she's oh my God, I believe she's Vietnamese. I could be wrong, and forgive me if I'm wrong. But she was just telling me basically like,
What you looking at me for?
she was basically saying like, as a brown girl, like she can identify with me, and that I don't have no fear to travel on my own. Like, I just get up and go, and how I have encouraged her to do that. And she wanted to give me, thanks in front of my face, to let me know, like, since you encouraged me, like, I wanted to give you something. And she gave me like this, it's chocolate made from Seattle, and then like this little like Seattle plaque. And I literally just like something that small, and I know that was him, that he prepared that that appointment for each other, because that was him talking, but then I was also talking life into her, like why I'm encouraged to go on my own and do what I do. And it was just like a weeping session the whole time.
Wow. That's amazing.
Wow.
That's crazy. So you talked about, you do have your end goal for the journey. What is that? Like, in your mind, what is the destination for your business, your art,
So Art by Sir, I want it to be full blown, like that's a name brand, like Picasso. Like, Picasso is well known worldwide. Out of any artist that you know, Picasso is that guy,
right?
Which is my favorite artist, by the way. I don't want to be Picasso, but I want to be Art by Sir. And what that looks like is that name. And if I was to compare like an artist that I'm intrigued by a lot, is Claudette Monet. So Claudette Monet is an artist that he lived in France. He lived like in the countryside of France, like a half an hour, 40 minutes out of Paris. He had like this beautiful home, but he had this huge garden. And what inspired him with his paintings were his garden. Like, he actually sat there and gardened, and the flowers that he painted are amazing. I actually went to Paris and traveled outside to see his home. So my end goal eventually is that in the Lord's timing that I'll eventually move back to Florida and I have my home that's a garden, because my favorite thing to actually paint is not my heritage. I love my culture. I love my people, but I love flowers. It's just something so delicate and beautiful about flowers that I'm amazed with. And seeing what he created and then seeing how he created on a canvas, I'm like, wow, I'm so inspired. Like, that's my end goal. Like, that's what I want. Just my husband, my kids, and me just painting in my backyard.
Is there anything like that you feel like you want your art to say or speak to people, just like when they see it, when they look at it, you know?
I want people to see that, you know, I'm just a girl from the hood that made something out of myself, and not just because it's just me, but I want people to know who God is during my journey. Like, I make sure that when I speak of Art by Sir, that you know that this just not me. Like, this is a us thing. Like, God is involved in all that I do, that I give him all the honor and glory and praise and everything that I do with Art by Sir. So if I'm able through my art, when people talk to me, to help save someone by telling them, you know, the real raw reason as to why, which I have done to certain people, that I've told them the actual like real story. Like, I told you guys, but I didn't go into detail. And sometimes God doesn't allow us to go into detail because some people, you know, tend to be judgmental. They tend to like turn the other cheek because they're like, ew, like you did that, you went through that, and it's just like, yeah, I'm a human being like you are.
Ew.
Yeah, but people tend to look at you like you disgusting, and it's just like, well, it's part of my past. It made me who I am. It made me, you know, when I gave my life to the Lord, you know, he cleansed me as white as snow. But to you, you don't feel that way, and that's cool, but you don't need to know all that. But when he makes me feel comfortable to share that with certain women, like, I know I did my duty. Like, I want to know that through my art, and when I transcend to the next life, that, you know, God looks at me and say, you know, my good and faithful servant. And I'm be sitting there like, so where my teardrops at? I want to see them.
So, do you feel like your art is healing in a way? Because that's what I'm hearing.
Well, that's how it started with
not just for you, but for other people.
Yes, it is. So for me, when it started, it was healing, because how it led me to it was that I painted a painting for my ex-boyfriend, for his child, for his son, and that to be transparent, we could have had a child together, but I lost our child. So that's why it was so difficult for me to paint that, because it was like, you know, that could have been us kind of thing. But unfortunately, that's not what God had planned for me. So that was therapeutic, because that was God letting me know through my painting that I had to learn how to let go. Like, this is not the path I wanted you, because I have this for you. And this is way better than you sitting there being with somebody that I didn't have for you. So that was therapeutic. And then I would do commission pieces, and that was therapeutic, because it was, I basically told people, what is it that you want me to paint? And I would do that. And then now with just my Boricua artwork, it's therapeutic, because it's teaching people about their culture, their heritage, their background, and embracing, you know, that Afro in us. And the more I get into it, and the more that I dig into it, I want people to, you know who we really are, because a lot of Puerto Ricans in America, you know, we're Americanized. We don't know. We just know we Boricuas and we proud.
Right. Go to the parade, wave the flag.
Yeah.
Y'all were there.
Blow the whistles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jake used to be in a salsa group. They used to do it.
Oh, that boy
used to go to all the Camden parade, the Atlantic City one.
Yeah.
He was there dancing.
Oh, so you was all in the mix.
Yeah, sure.
A little bit. Not no more.
Okay.
I want to say what's up to Tiffany. She just checked in. She said hey said hey guys. Cool. So, I mean, your story is dope, and I think it's inspiring for a lot of people, especially young females, especially people that are artists. So we appreciate you coming. You know, we appreciate you taking the time out to tell it on our little show and talking to the people that we have. Let everybody know where they can follow you at, and you know how they can buy your stuff and all of that. Yeah.
So you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Art by Sir, and that's Art by SIR, which are my initials to my government name. And then you can shop for stuff for Art by Sir on my Etsy account right now.
Okay.
And I also have a painting party that's coming up on March 29th, and it's Do It for the Culture.
Oh, that's what's up.
So basically, women or men can paint like themselves, like the back of their head, with their flag. That's why it's Do It for the Culture, because you want to represent like what's your heritage, like what flag you rep. So those are those 3 pictures on top. There's Evie Queen and those 2 other women on the side. That's the one in the middle is Viva Glam K. She's a makeup influencer. And then Gold Vibes, she's a makeup influencer as well. And shout outs to Viva Glam K, because since she wore my Yo Soy Boricua earrings, that's what got me out there.
That's crazy.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We're proud of you, especially you being right here in Camden. And
hold up, Lady Batista asked about Subaru experience. It was awesome.
Oh, so
okay,
Yeah.
Okay, so I got this really good opportunity to do Subaru's first Hispanic fiesta right there in Camden.
Nice. Yeah.
So they have a whole team called Blend. Their team Blend is basically brown people that work in Subaru.
Okay.
So they decided to do their first event that dealt with, culture. And I actually know one of the girls that worked there, and she thought that I would be amazing to display my artwork there. So I actually displayed my artwork at Subaru right there in Camden and the one in Cherry Hill. So it was displayed there for the whole month, the whole Hispanic Heritage Month. And then at the end of the month, they had like a fiesta party, and I actually met the CEO of Subaru there.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, like I was just like, yo, little old me, like I'm shaking hands with the CEO, like worldwide, like this is
Tell
crazy.
him to put your stuff on a commercial, yeah.
Right.
We've talked.
Gotta shoot your shot.
No, so we have talked, and hopefully that's in the works. That hopefully I'll be able to do a mural in Subaru.
Nice.
So there has been conversations about it. I just don't speak about things that I have going on because I feel like those are blessings from God. So there are things that are in the works that's going on behind the scenes. I'm just not that type of person that goes on social media and be like, yo, let me tell you, like, I got this and going on. Because I feel like if I tell people too and it doesn't happen, like, I'll just...
And they just,
so I'd rather it just be like, you know what, God, you show off when it happens.
Right. Well, we'll be looking out for that. And anything else you got going on, just hit us up. We're always here. We're here all the time. This is our spot. And if there's any way we can collab on some stuff, that would be great. You got. I want to.
We're not wearing no earrings though. So.
Yeah, we're not wearing them. How do you know my cousin Evie?
Evie. Oh, so I met Evie through. Do you know Beatrice?
No.
So she has a friend Beatrice, and she does like a show too.
Yeah.
So I was
right?
No, Beatrice is from here, from Jersey, from Camden.
Oh, I thought
No. So I was on her show before, and Evie had saw me on there.
Okay.
And she loved me, and she was just like, you need to do this, and that. So she's been like on the low, like helping me out, like, hey, I think you should do this, and I think you should do that. And I'm like, yo, I'm all in, like, because I want this to go.
People.
Yeah. So she's been trying to hook me up with one art gallery in Philly, but they were like, we only deal with abstract artists. And I was like, well, unfortunately, I ain't an abstract artist.
Right.
I mean, I could create abstract, but that's not fun to me. Like,
right. Just throw some paint against the wall.
Yeah, call it a day. I might as well throw
That's
some,
what abstract art looks like to
Yeah,
me, man.
It is. Like, I might as well throw the Boricua colors
right.
You
on
just
a canvas. and be
disrespected
like,
the
yeah.
whole
I know.
community of
I know.
abstract
I know,
artists.
but yo, did you ever see like someone did a video online where they were like they did some fake abstract art exhibit and had people come up and like they were doing the snobby, oh, this means this and that means that, and it was literally like some BS.
Really?
Yeah. It's because it's just like, it's one of them things where it's like the meaning comes from the hype a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. But anyway, we appreciate you coming. Don't be a stranger, you know what I mean?
No, not at all.
And I want to give a shout out to everyone who's been watching the whole time. Make sure you guys support this young lady who's doing something amazing.
Yes.
Thank you to everybody who's been watching, all of the comments and all of the questions and everything. We appreciate y'all. Make sure you stay tuned for next week's episode, and also go to the Patreon again, patreon.com/youngliontv. You can become a member there. Oh, our song By the River just came out yesterday. It's on all the streaming platforms. We did a re-release of it because when it came out, this was before Spotify existed, so we wanted to get it up on there and Apple Music and all of the new platforms, and it's on TikTok and all that good stuff now. So make sure you go check out By the River. It's got some new twists to it. And we got another song coming out in a couple weeks, Higher Love. Stay tuned for that. Also, Jatan.com for merch. And shows, all that good stuff. Hope to see you guys soon. That's it. We're out of here.
Young lion, go live, yeah. Young lion, you rich, yeah. This kingdom has room, yeah.